Hey there, everybody, it's that Slasher Elijah, and I hope you all are doing well. Today, we're going to be doing a long-awaited unknown add-on tier list. Before us today, we have a range of 20 add-ons that I will be ranking from S being the very best to D being that of the worst of the worst. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in. Starting off, we're going to be taking a look at Sketch Attempt. The survivors that are hit by a UVX's blast area will suffer from the Oblivious status effect for 20 seconds. This is a pretty interesting one because here's the thing. If you're in the situation where you're going to be using UVX to begin with, you're probably not gonna get a whole lot of value from that 20 seconds of Oblivious. The only way that I could see this getting any and all value is if you're going for those long range snipes and what have you, those lobbing shots. Otherwise you're literally gonna get no value out of this, so I'd say D tier. Unfortunately, I know that's not a very strong start, but you know, it's honest. So next up, Rabbit's Foot. Blood pools appear bright red when charging UVX, and survivors injured by UVX suffer from the hemorrhage status effect for 30 seconds. Once again, Jesus, not really a very good add-on to start off with. What we're gonna come to find out with a bunch of these add-ons is, unfortunately, they're not very great. But here's the thing: the blood pools appearing bright red, it's okay, you know. The only way I could see you getting any actual add-on value out of that is if you're terrible at tracking to begin with, which, I mean, if you're invested into Dead by Daylight, that's not something that you're gonna be, like, you're eventually gonna pick up tracking after a while. And blood pools are just such a niche thing to follow anyways. Like, if you're seeing blood pools, chances are you're also going to see scratch marks, which are just easier to follow to begin with. The only way I could see you getting value out of this is out of, like, the corner of your eye, and maybe you realize, oh shit, that's a bright red blood pool right there. But even then, if you're charging UVX to begin with, like, why? You know, it doesn't make sense. The hemorrhage status effect, it's okay. I don't understand why it's not hemorrhage and mangled on top of that. If it had mangled a part of it, then I'd say, okay, that could be kind of cool for split pressure, but at the same time, if you're already in a state where you're using UVX to injure people, then chances are you're going to get the down relatively quickly anyways. So unfortunately, Rabbit's Foot is going to be another D tier. A lot of these are terrible, especially the Browns, except for one in particular, which we'll get to momentarily. Next up, though, Punctured Eyeball. Survivors who are both weakened and injured suffer from the Deep Wound status effect until they dispel, or when they dispel a hallucination. Wow, that's terrible, actually. So here's the thing about this, is if you are in a state where, here's the setup, right? Here's how you would get your value out of this add-on, right? You run this add-on with Vanishing Box, the green right there, where whenever survivors complete a generator, they automatically gain weakened, right? You hope to God that those who are completing a generator are already injured, and you hope to God that there's a hallucination nearby, and even then, if you're staying on top of things and they are dispelling a hallucination, like, you just teleport to it and get the down anyways. So, yeah, that's terrible. I'm sorry. That's gonna be another D tier. I'm probably biased as all hell because I only really run a combination of a couple add-ons on here. One of which is this one, Blurry Photo, which anybody who has ever played Unknown, unfortunately I suffer from this. As soon as you start using this add-on, you can never go back, just because it's such a quality of life change. After teleporting, you gain full movement speed back 50% faster, which whenever you teleport, obviously you suffer from a minor slowdown and what have you, which you know, it does seem minor at first, but whenever you're suffering from that slowdown, you can't attack, you can't charge up UVX, you can't do anything. Whenever you start using that, you basically get to attack and use UVX damn near immediately. For that, S tier. Because there have been instances where I've kind of treated the Unknown's hallucination like a Dredge Remnant, where maybe, okay, I'm going to start feathering my power. Okay. I'm now going to pop down my power at a loop, chase the survivor around, force them into my hallucination, teleport immediately, and get the hit because of that hallucination. So, yeah, that's an easy S tier, hands down. Next up, Victim's Map. When a survivor successfully stares down the unknown gains Killer Instinct for 3 seconds. I have a buddy of mine in a Discord server that I'm a part of who swears up and down on a couple of the yellows, this being one of them, saying that they are just the best of the best. They're not great. They're really not great. This one in particular. So, unless you have all 4 of your hallucinations out and about, this is not great at all. Because if you have less than 4 out and about, if you are actually aware of your surroundings, having that borderline awareness is actually just going to make that obsolete. Like, don't get me wrong, the Killer Instinct is nice, but the exact same can be achieved just by me paying attention and having that awareness on where the survivors are. So, unfortunately, that is... I mean, don't get me wrong, it does something, and it's definitely better than the fucking 3 right here, so that's going to go in a C tier, right? Next up, Slashed Backpack. UVX triggers a blast area... Wait, hold on. UVX triggers a blast area upon contact with hallucinations. Hallucinations can be destroyed by UVX. Doing so decreases the time until the next hallucination spawns by 75%. Okay, this is another add-on that a buddy of mine kind of swears up and down on. And this is one that I've actively tried to think about where I would get value out of this. So, basically, this is your kind of error corrector add-on, right? This is the add-on that you're going to use where if you misplace one of your hallucinations, you immediately shoot it and you pop it down. I can see value out of this in a loop, but there are so many other add-ons that you can do that kind of work better. So allow me to explain. The only instance where I can see you getting use out of this in a chase scenario is if you're chasing along a short loop, you misplace your hallucination at that short loop, and as they're chasing, you shoot the hallucination so they get infected by the UVX and gained weakened, right? That's the only way I can see any amount of value from this. In terms of just map pressure and having that teleport up, see, this entire add-on becomes obsolete if you just feather your power. Which is already just something a part of the Unknown's kit. If you just feather your power, and hell, you don't even have to feather your power half the time. If you just go like within range of like hooks or generators or something along those lines, you can pretty much pop down your hallucinations anywhere. So that kind of makes it obsolete, unfortunately. In terms of its chase power, if you're gonna use it so you can have basically a wall that you can shoot your UVX at to infect survivors, why do that when you can instead just run Blurry Photo and get that hit? So for that, I'm gonna have to put that in D. Yeah, I'll put it in high D. I'll put it in high D. Just because it does do something. Well, no, we'll put it low D. That's pretty fair. Sorry, there's pop-ups. Alright, next up, Notebook of Theories. Survivors hit by UVX while it is airborne suffer from the hindered status effect for an additional 2 seconds. That's pretty good, actually, because that's actually actively doing something. Don't get me wrong, you don't want to go for those airborne shots, but they do happen a lot more often than you'd think, especially if you're going for snipes. You can kind of start treating your UVX more so like clown bottles, if that's how you want to play. I would not recommend that, but, you know, it's actively doing something, and it's actually actively, positively adding on to your power. So for that, I'm going to put that in B. That's just a solid add-on. I have no fucking qualms against that. Up next, last known recording. Decreases your hallucinations aura range that is visible to survivors by 25%. That's going to go indeed. And the only reason why is because if you are, once again, correctly feathering your power, and, like, this can be easily solved by you just going out of the way to put in that extra effort to hide your hallucinations, right? So yeah, for that, like, that's a problem that I have with a lot of Unknown's add-ons, is the fact that a large majority of them you can do better just with his base kit alone, and it's kind of sad to see that. But yeah, I don't know. Next up, device of undisclosed origin. Survivors entering the aura range of a hallucination suffer from the oblivious status effect. I can see some use out of this if you're kind of popping them down near generators, but also generators do have a fixed distance where unknown hallucinations aren't allowed to spawn. But I don't know, I'm trying to think of, like, a good, maybe you could pop these down near, like, basement. Maybe you could pop, like, a hallucination down near basement and kind of use it to camp, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, okay, I guess you could do that. So you pop it down at basement, maybe you run, like, Territorial Imperative, or you just pay attention to the hook. And as you maybe start to notice, okay, they've been unhooked. Okay, I know for a fact they're going to be affected by my obliviousness. Maybe then you could get use out of that. So for that, I'm going to put that in C tier. No. Yeah, low B, high C tier. I actually used to run that add-on a whole bunch with Blurry Photo whenever I first started running Blurry Photo, and it worked out pretty well, I think. Next up, Vanishing Box. I'm gonna go ahead and put that up there. For those of you all who don't know, Vanishing Box basically gives survivors weakened after they complete generators. My only qualm with that add-on is you are literally trading off your ability to potentially win that match for more split pressure. But the fact that that add-on alone allows me to, I guess, have that split pressure to begin with. Basically what you're doing is trade offer. Okay, you complete a generator. You now have your status effect that forces you to get near me, and that gives me potential to down you. So I'm gonna swear up and down on that add-on. Anybody can contest me, and I will be happy to get into a debate with you. But that add-on, swear to God, best add-on. It's between these two right here, but I'm gonna swear up and down on Vanishing Box because A, you will never not have a match if you're correctly using Unknown's power and you're smart with it. You will never not have a match where you don't get value out of that add-on. And B, it's just quality of life. You know, I don't have to infect every survivor. You know what I mean? I don't have to infect survivors twice as opposed to just doing it once and starting getting those easy injuries. So I was actually kind of surprised. I thought they would nerf that, but they didn't, and I'm pretty happy that they didn't. So up next, Hypnotist's Watch. Survivors hit by UVX while it's airborne suffer from the exhausted status effect for 10 seconds. That's pretty fucking good. 10 seconds of exhausted. If you can correctly predict, what's it? Like, if the survivor has sprint burst or dead hard or some shit like that, hit them beforehand just as, like, a insurance against it. That's pretty fucking solid, you know? Even with, like, Vigil or something, like, that's really good. Next up, front page article. Performing the break action on a pallet or breakable wall hallucination decreases the time until the next hallucination spawns by 50%. What was it? I think it was slashed backpack. Yeah, it was. Decreased. Okay. So it's kind of like an easier version of slash backpack, I suppose. I don't know. Decreases the time until the next hallucination spawns by 50%. Huh. I'm not so sure about that. I'm gonna put it in B. And the only reason why is while well, I don't know. Okay, so if you're in the situation where you're going to be breaking a pallet to begin with to get use out of this add-on, I don't think there's ever going to be a point where you absolutely need a hallucination right then and there. Because that's the thing, is that the hallucinations, you don't have to be specific on where you put them, right? I don't know. I might put that in... No, I'm going to keep that in low B. Because it's basically just a worse version of Slash Backpack, just without your corrective action. So... I don't know. I'm going to keep it in B, and the only reason why... Well, no, I'm going to put you in C. Because it is a worse version than Slash Backpack, but Slash Backpack in general is just obsolete as is. Whereas with that add-on, I get to choose basically when I can get my hallucinations out, depending on like the map and how the match has played out thus far. Whereas with Slash Backpack, that's correcting where my hallucinations are as opposed to getting the next hallucination in line. So I'm going to put that in a high C, or low C, excuse me, just because I don't ever think that there's going to be a point where we're absolutely dying for hallucinations. Unless you're in like a 3-gen scenario, then I can kind of see that, but I don't know, I don't think it's really worth it. Next up, it's going to be Footprint Cast. Whenever I first played Unknown on the PCB, I would never not run this fucking add-on. I think it was this, and I think I ran a couple of the purple add-ons as well. But I really, really like Footprint Cast. Decreases the time until the next hallucination spawns by 15 seconds when a survivor becomes weakened. This is just a better fucking version of these two, like, add-ons put together, right? It's literally, as opposed to just a percentage of the time that it takes for a hallucination to spawn, it's just taking out chunks of time, which, I mean, objectively, it is technically a percentage, but it's the fact that I don't have to do anything beforehand outside of my kit. Like, oh, I don't need to break a wall, I don't need to break a pallet, I don't need to shoot my hallucination. No, I just have to weaken a survivor, which I'm already having to do if I'm playing this killer to begin with. So I'm going to put that in a high B. I actually really like this add-on. Next up, B Movie Poster. Survivors damaged by UVX's blast area suffer from the broken status effect for 30 seconds. Okay. I see a couple scenarios where you could possibly get value out of this. Essentially, here's how I would treat B-Movie Poster. If you're running B-Movie Poster, you're playing Unknown, but if Unknown was trying to mimic the Legion. Because basically, the only time that you ever want to use this add-on is if you have people grouped up and you're not going to commit to them both equally. Which, I mean, objectively, you can't. But if you see them splitting up, but they're close together, perhaps healing or some form or another, hit them with this. And even then, let me see real quick. Let me read this off. Survivors damaged. Okay. So now I do have a problem with this, because now I'm noticing something. So the only way that you're going to get any real value out of this is if survivors are grouped up. Let's say for the sake of the argument that they're already weakened, right? If they are grouped up and they're not on a generator, 100% of the time they're going to be healing, right? Unless they're doing an invocation for whatever reason, but 100% of the time they're going to be healing, right? If they're already healing and they're already weakened, you're damaging one person, potentially downing another. But it's the fact that it's specifically damaged and not affected that kind of fucks with me. Because here's the thing, at that point, why am I running this? I'm already downing one person. Now I can just commit to the other and slug the guy on the ground. Like, there's no point. That's going in a high C. No, that's gonna go in a low C. Fuck you. Alright, moving on. Serum Vial. Survivors with an hallucinations aura range suffer from the exhausted status effect for 10 seconds. We'll put that in the low B, just because aura range altogether already isn't great. Like, Like, any fucking add-ons that have Aura range in them, just assume that they're bad. I think Device of Undisclosed Origin is okay, but I mean, it's already in, like, high C. In fact, I will put it in low B. I'm switching those around. That seems better. I'm already gonna put that in low or high C, just because Exhausted is pretty good, but at the same time, not every game people are gonna run Exhausted perks. But I don't know. Maybe we're back in fucking 2020 again. Who knows? Obscure game cartridge. Triggers for 20 seconds following a teleport, increases the action speed for breaking downed pallets, breakable walls, damaging generators, and vaulting windows by 30%. This turns the unknown into unknown, but he's trying to be the singularity. I actually really like this add-on. This was another add-on that I played quite a bit with during the PTB, and I still will play with this add-on from time to time just because it is helpful. You know what I mean? Let's say you see a survivor. Okay, we're on Cold Wind Farm because I've had this happen, right? Teleport to a hallucination just to close that distance. They vault into the bar window. Just because you teleported, you now vault 30% faster. You immediately catch up and you down them. You will get value out of this add-on. It's just a really fucking good add-on. I really like this. Are you going to get value 100% of the time? No, but at the same time, there are those little instances where you are going to get value out of it, as opposed to the majority of these where you have to be specifically lined up for a very, very specific situation. So, yeah, that's solid A. I like that add-on. Homemade mask. Alright. Discarded milk carton. Doubles the UVX's projectile bounce strength. This one actually is also pretty good. I actually played with both of these add-ons together, Obscure Game Cartridge and Milk Carton. So it's not going to do anything to make your power all that better, but I feel like it's funner to hit your, just your shots with the discarded milk carton and what have you, just because it doubles the bounce strength. So you literally, whenever you ricochet a bounce off a wall or your UVX off a wall, it will go farther. And because of that, you can that's your skill add-on, right? That increases your skill ceiling to this killer. And for that, I'm gonna put that in A because that just means more fun. Next up, Iridescent OSS Report. Decreases the teleport cooldown by 5 seconds. The decoy left after the unknown teleports takes 10 seconds longer to disappear. And when created, the decoy has the same terror radius and red stain as the unknown. This one's pretty cool, actually. I am actually a really, really big fan of this add-on. I feel like this add-on would run really, really well with both in separate builds, like Distressing and potentially Monitor Abuse, because you already know about the trick about standing still using like the Insidious perk, and people think that you're a hallucination, right? You can kind of flip that on its head with this perk and kind of get that same effect using that add-on, using either Monitor and or Distressing. Because basically what you're going to be able to do is, let's say I'm chasing a person and they know for a fact I have this add-on. I've used it on them multiple times. I've caught them off guard with it. Now all I have to do is make sure they're looking at me, stand completely fucking still. I guarantee you they start running towards me because they think, oh shit, he just fucking teleported, you know? They're going to immediately think that I just teleported, they're going to run towards me, and we get basically the exact same effect, except as opposed to waiting around with Insidious, we can do it in Chase. So for that, S tier. I really like that. Plus, I mean, it just throws people off, and having that misguided communication in general, it's just good. It's just good to have. Next up, this is one of my favorite add-ons. Not because of any gameplay elements, but I just love the lore behind it. Captured by the Dark. Survivors will begin the trial weakened. Already fucking terrific. But it does decrease the maximum amount of hallucinations that can be spawned by one. So you might be thinking, there's actually a third thing that this does that isn't explicitly stated in it, that I'm going to get to here in a second. But already having all the Survivors Weekend, it does the exact same thing. It's actually a little bit worse than Vanishing Box, but it's also a little bit better in the sense of it does something that isn't stated, and that is whenever survivors are affected by Weekend, your teleports come off cooldown faster. Like, you popping down hallucinations is decreased by I want to say like 20 seconds, but don't quote me on that. It's marked down by a really good chunk of time. This add-on, because you literally start off with Everybody Weekend, you get your hallucination in like the first like 10 seconds. I'm pretty sure. Like, you get this back relatively quickly, and that isn't explicitly stated just because it's something more so about the Unknown's kit as opposed to just the actual add-on itself. For that, easy S tier. Well, yeah, we can move these around a little bit. Easy S tier. Plus, I mean, I've seen crazy fucking clips on, like, Twitter of this add-on being used, and literally, like, matches ending within, like, 2 to 3 minutes, just because everybody's already infected with UVX and already weakened. So, yeah. Good add-on pairings. I'm just gonna throw this in just as a little extra segment. Vanishing Box and Blurry Photo. That's one I generally run from time to time. Vanishing Box and the Captured by the Dark, also really good pairing, I'd say. Let me look through here. I would recommend probably bringing Pocket Watch. I think Pocket Watch was broken, right? No, it wasn't. Which one was broken? B-Movie Poster. B-Movie Poster. I'd very much probably recommend this add-on if you're doing, like, any kind of status effect challenge, like, oh, injure or down, like, so-and-so affected by a status effect. I'd very much recommend that. Hell, I'd recommend also, we'll call it Pocket Watch as well. Yeah, Pocket Watch was also be a really good one for injuring and downing people. Have you. So, thank you all so much for watching. That is going to conclude my unknown add-on tier list. I really hope that you all did genuinely enjoy this video, and I hope you all learned something from it today. Once again, thank you all so much for your all's continued support. I genuinely do appreciate it. I have a Discord. If you all would like to join it, please look down in the description below. I'd love to have you there and just chat it up with y'all. Be like the unknown. Do not deny yourself your happiness. Life is, after all, what you make it. And, as always, have a great day.